Why don't you give me a sign?
This is Corinna Jane.
The leaves are trailing on that shore. It's not your problem, it's mine.
With her brand new single, Give Me a Sign.
While the world still spins,
As featured on BBC Introducing.
it's just the way it's gotta be. Give me a sign about the things that we don't know. Why don't you give me a sign?
Corinna Jane, Give Me a Sign. Out now.
It's not your problem, it's mine.
We could keep making my movie. It's about a spirit that attacks people who sin.
That's literally everyone.
The scenes you guys filmed were good. And if we all did it and took it seriously, we could definitely sell it.
Everyone else is doing this?
Hello, I'm Sophia Jessica, and welcome to the Fan Carpet.
So welcome everyone. It's such a thrill to speak to you all today. How's everything going?
Just going.
Good.
I'm good.
Great.
It's picking up. It's summertime is everybody probably had a little bit of a holiday, I assume, and now we're all kind of figuring out what's next.
Yeah.
Not so much a holiday. I just carried on. Couldn't really do anything. Couldn't really go anywhere. So. Yeah. All right. So, if we go back to the beginning, was there a defining moment for you guys to get into the industry?
Wow. Well, I was kind of introduced to the industry through my sister. She's a makeup artist. And so after college, I just moved out to live in California because Michigan's cold. And she kind of was my gateway into the industry. I got a job as a PA on a reality show. And from there, it kind of just, my curiosity for performing kind of snowballed into what it is today. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I started in theater. I actually wanted to be an economist when I was younger, and I was a dancer as a hobby, and I ran into a family friend who's directing a community theater show and needed a dancer. Very quickly fell in love with theater and telling stories and creating characters. I think the most defining moment for me, though, I had a random phone call where I ended up through somebody I'd worked with getting an audition for a Broadway show. And went to New York 2 days later to do the audition and then call back in the same day. And a week later, I was living in New York working on said Broadway show. And New York when I was 14 kind of completely changed my life and my world. I never thought I'd leave Kansas City. And then suddenly I'm living in, Hell's Kitchen and working on a Broadway show. And I think that very quickly was a defining moment in my life and career.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that about either one of you guys. Well, I'm also from the Midwest because Kat's from Kansas City and Tim's from Michigan. I'm from South Dakota. So like like what Tim was saying, it's cold and terrible. And if you're from where I'm from, like you have you're either a hunter or a sports person or something like that. And I'm not any of those things. So like I would just watch movies and that's all I kind of knew. So like even from an early age, I think it was God, I think I snuck into, watching HBO in the middle of the night and watched a movie called The Thing and Escape from New York. Those two films really kind of made me want to make movies. And then I started just making my own movies like in like junior high and high school and saved up, worked at like a Dairy Queen and saved up money for a camcorder and, literally drug my friends behind a car while shooting movies. It was just crazy stuff like that. But yeah, so then I moved out here and, knock on wood, we're still somehow making a living on it.
Awesome. Yeah, Kat's got some wood there. The wooden doors. Yeah. All right, cool. So what was it about your characters, Kip and Chrissy, that made you want to play them and how do you relate to them, where they fit into the story?
I think the biggest reason is because Nick and Luke called and said, hey, we wrote this character that we want you to do, come do it. But no, what's fun about it, at least for me with Chrissy, is that, having two close friends write a film with you in mind, they know the kind of characters I've played and the kind of characters that I haven't had a chance to do and the sort of things that I want to do more of. And for me, that's, I'd never played a character like Chrissy. I rarely get to do comedy, and it made it a lot of fun. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, for me, I mean, similar. They hit me up and they're like, "Hey, we have this thing we're working on. We'd like you to be in it." And I was like, "All right, cool, let's do it." But typically, I end up playing kind of mean, a jerk, a bully type character, and for
It's so weird.
I know.
These guys actually wrote, yeah, like Kat said, they kind of wrote the character with me in mind, so they I got to play someone maybe a little nicer, a little sweeter, which was fun. The words came a little more natural, I think. Yeah, no, I mean, Luke and Nick kind of did a really good job.
I think we
writing.
probably wrote you more as a I think you're more of a worrywart in the movie than you probably are in real life. You seem more laid back. Maybe.
Yeah.
No. Maybe.
Yeah.
No. Maybe.
He's a little bit of a goober in some ways. I hope I'm not. But yeah.
A bit more suave than Kip, I think. Tim's got a bit more swag.
Oh, sometimes you put it on when you leave the front door and you take it off when you get home.
Excellent. Was it nice to have like parts written for you with you in mind?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's funny because we, as actors, we get to see a bunch of different project roles, auditions, and the easy ones are the ones that are the words that would come out of your mouth. And somehow I bet it's the same with you. It's like you read these words and all of a sudden they're just in your brain. You don't have to really work to memorize them. So it's like these words were written for us, even though, the characters are a little abstract in a way. They were just, more fun to play, for sure.
And I think too, given that, we've all been good friends for a while, the humor, like we understand the humor in which it was written because it's written by people who we laugh at on a day-to-day basis in conversation. It's we understand what is intended with each situation and each line, and it makes it a lot of fun because we can just kind of play and then riff on that. Nick was so kind to give us the freedom to and we had the time to have the freedom to play and experiment and sort of branch off and let different things and let us inspire each other, which, you rarely have that kind of freedom on set, and it was really freeing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Nick, what was it about Untitled Horror Movie that made you want to write and direct it? What was the initial spark?
Well, originally it was because Luke called me and said, "Hey, I was at this." It was right in the beginning of the pandemic. It's like everything was just being locked down, and Luke had called and said that he witnessed some women using a pendulum to try to figure out how to pick up a loaf of bread at Gelson's one day, which is like a grocery store, and he's like, "We should do a horror movie about a pendulum," and so he pitched this whole thing, and I had just turned in this draft for another project, and I was like, yeah, I mean, all right, what's the story? And then we were trying to figure out the story, it just became like, I think I've made that movie. So like, if we could figure out a different spin on it, and maybe we could figure out a way to do it now, we could send actors cameras and we could figure out a way to just like, everybody's at home. Everybody's going nuts. Like, let's see who wants to do something. So once we put those limitations on it, like, okay, we're going to send actors, microphones, cameras, lights. Who do we know that would be up for that? Who would be up for that challenge? And then, I've known Kat for 5 years because she was, you were going to do Girl in the Photographs, this movie I did years ago. But then our schedule got pushed and then you got cast in a show that took off for many years. And then Tim, I've known since probably around the same time because he also auditioned for Girl in the Photographs. I just found your audition tape, by the way.
And we don't need to see that. We don't.
Yes. It was really funny. So I've been wanting to work with both these guys for a long time, and they were really the first two actors we called before we'd written anything. And just to see, because I think Luke and I were so excited about this idea. We're like, this is gonna be great. Everybody will want to do it. So we called both of them, and they were both like, yeah, it sounds hey, do you have a script? And we're like, we're gonna write a script. We're gonna write a script. It's gonna be great. And then we're like, okay, cool. Just send us a script because we gotta get it cleared by people. And like, yeah. It'll be great. It'll be great. and then we were like, okay, we gotta write a good script. And then we wrote a script. It wasn't very good, and then we rewrote it a bunch of times, and then everybody said yes. So
The only scripts I read were good, so I guess I didn't see the
I
other.
just sent you the first one. It's only like 40 pages long, by the way.
Kat, you recently shared the screen with Matt Daddario in Trust, and Luke Baines wrote on Untitled Horror Movie and stars in it. What's it like when you get the chance to reunite with your Shadowhunters family, and how often are you in contact with the others?
Well, we all talk very regularly, and that's the fun of it. I think that show for all of us hit at times in our lives that were very transitional and kind of transformative. I mean, for me, I did that show from 19 to 23, so that's, I grew up on that set, and those boys are my brothers and will be for the rest of my life. And I feel like too, and Tim, I'm sure you can attest to this given everything you've done, but when you're on set every day for years with the same people, you end up with like a working shorthand, and you know how each other work, you know how to get on a set and get the job done. And it was so nice to be able to work with Matt on that movie, because obviously, it was an indie film. We shot it very quickly, didn't have a ton of time. And when you know how to work with someone, you can just move and play and get things done super quickly. And same thing, working with Luke and Nick on Untitled Horror Movie. It was just a ball. And, the ice is already broken, so you can just kind of really dive into the deep end and have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. This is awesome. So independent filmmaking comes with a lot of challenges. Can you tell me some of the challenges that you were faced with making this?
Doing your own makeup.
I mean, this is different than
here. We had I'll just speak from my point of view real quick. We agreed to this. We had no idea what they were asking of us. So, but right before we started shooting, days before, Luke dropped off this box full of stuff, and it had mic, lighting equipment, lots of tape, phone for me because I didn't even have the most updated phone. Shout out to the iPhone. What is this? Whatever it is. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, just all the stuff that goes into it that we specifically for this project, we lit ourselves with the help of our DP director. We did our makeup, we pressed record,
Yeah, I mean, this is different than most indie films. I come from mostly indie films, so doing this was we were figuring everything out as we went. We did, we tested a couple different cameras because we didn't know what kind of camera we should even use. We tested how do we, at one point we tested a Blackmagic camera, how are we going to mount that to a computer screen? How will the actors see it? So ultimately we ended up using I think it was iPhone 11 Pros. Is that what we ended up using?
The most current one was.
Yeah. Because most all the actors were familiar with iPhones. Two, it was flat, so we could tape it to a computer screen, so we could still get the highest quality in a 4K, shooting it in 4K while still using Zoom as an a way for us to perform the scenes live. So we really didn't know, but I had no idea what the footage was going to look like until the next day, which was really crazy because I was talking to a former director teacher of mine at AFI, and he was like, so you never saw a monitor? I'm like, there was no monitor ever. And he was like, that's amazing. He's like, that's how they did it in the old days. I'm like, but that is exactly how they did it in the old days. There was no monitors. But it was really great because it was always sitting next to a camera when you're directing actors in these type of situations or in any movie, it feels a little bit like they're performing for you. So I always felt like it was just my own show going on, so that was really kind of a great experience. But this isn't like a typical indie film. We made them, and they did everything. We made them do everything. So it's usually not like that.
Yeah, cut to, it was rather terrifying, at least for me, and I think for the rest of us too, because at least I had never lit a scene before. I haven't been to film school. I've, thankfully worked on a lot of sets with amazing technicians and picked up what I can, but there's a big difference between observing and understanding the work and dedication someone puts in versus trying your hand at it and trying to do it yourself when you're on set under pressure. Also thinking about what scene you have to do, and thank God for the patience of Nick and our DOP, Kevin Duggan, because they took the time to have all of us going, hey, what about this? And we have this question, all at the same time while trying to do this. And then having the patience to teach us all how to transfer footage at 3 in the morning after we'd all been working for 12 hours, hoping that we don't lose the entire film. So, it was a process, but we all got it done.
Was it a lot of fun though, even though it was very challenging?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it was exactly, I think, what we all needed, especially during that time, because I don't know about you guys, but I felt like at the end of those days, I felt like we had been on a real set, and I felt like we had really done like a solid day. I mean, filming, we'd shoot 12-hour days still, right? 10-hour days. We were shooting. I mean,
Yeah.
we shot the whole movie in 8 days also.
It was basically this for 10 hours.
Yeah.
So even though we didn't physically meet some of the other people, it's like you really knew each other by the end of the
We all
process.
had a blast. I think from the first table read, suddenly we all kind of, even though we hadn't all met in person, we all felt a chemistry and a kinship, and somehow we all just dove in together and made it happen.
Awesome. Do you have any memories from filming that will stick with you throughout your careers?
All of them.
All of it. Yeah, this entire process. Yeah.
I don't know. I have very clear memories of, blowing potted plant soil across my kitchen and pouring water everywhere. And also, doing this, we all did a lot of stunts in the movie as well. And I remember there was one where, I had a stunt mat in my house, which Luke knew, which is why he's like, hey, you're going to be the one that throws yourself across your house all the time. I'm like, wicked, I got this. But when you're on set and you're doing stunts, there's a professional stuntman with a mat standing there to catch you to make sure you don't break your neck. This was just me in a house with a mat on the floor that I thought maybe was in the right spot. I'm about to throw myself backwards onto my hardwood floor going, well, at least they're on Zoom. If I break my neck, maybe they can call an ambulance for me. I don't know. We'll see. At least I died doing something I love.
Yeah. Thankfully, you didn't. I suppose those are the risks you take when you're doing your own stunts.
Yeah, occupational hazard.
Yeah. Are you guys?
I guess for me, the thing that I'll take with me, it was just the moment. So the beginning and end of the table read, because going into the table read, I was like, how is this gonna work out? Is it funny? Am I gonna look like an idiot? And then the end of the table read, when I was like, wow, I think we have something here. Like everyone was cast so well. The script was tight and funny, and it just, even though we were on Zoom doing a table read, usually you have, network there, you have all these people there, you have all your cast members next to you, so you can make, but this was just all over Zoom, so it was a really cool experience to think, wow, we're actually making something right now, and it's going to be fun, and everyone committed to it too, so that was pretty good.
Awesome. Now you've assembled a wonderful cast on this. What were they all like to work with, Nick?
Oh, they were very difficult. Every one of them. They were. They kept on wanting different. I mean, everything. No. Honestly, if it wasn't for this cast,
where's my cappuccino?
Yeah, like if it wasn't for this cast, I really don't think this movie exists. I mean, honestly, they were all so down to do all of this work, and they were so easy to work with. And like I said, it was like the hardest part for me, I think, as a director, whenever I give notes to actors, I always try to do them just one-on-one. Like I don't usually give notes in front of all of the other actors. And so when I would have a note, if I'd watch, I remember having like, I had all these, I still have all these cards everywhere. I had all these little note cards everywhere. So I'd watch a take, because we do these takes that would go on for, 8 minutes sometimes. And I would just be writing down things I would see, like maybe take this one. And then I'd have to try to remember if, if I had it in an earlier take. So then I always try to give them, give them one note maybe. But then you're telling them in front of everybody else. So you're like, it was a challenge to from on my end to, luckily they were also good. I didn't have very many notes, but we just made slight adjustments here and there, but we never did more than like 4 or 5 takes, I think, on anything. And those scenes are long. You guys, those are long scenes. They're like 8-10 minute long scenes, and we run them all the way through. So, I mean, honestly, without that cast, I don't know if this movie exists at all, really. And people people still, when I tell them, most of those guys had never met in person. Like Luke was the common denominator between all of them. Most people they have no idea, because the chemistry is so solid. And you feel like these people have all known each other, and you feel like they've worked on a show with each other for a long time. So it was a really pretty, honestly, I'd work with everybody in this movie. The rest of my career, I'd be happy.
Let's do it.
Come on.
Every movie.
I've got nothing going on next week, so
Yeah.
write a script real quick.
Yeah, we wrote this one real quick, so it's fine.
It's not that easy, Nick.
Awesome. A unique part of the film is NFTs. That's an interesting development that I must admit I don't know much about. Was having that as part of the film something that drew you to tell the story?
No, the NFT thing came later. I don't know much about them either. I've actually learned an insane amount about NFTs throughout this process. It ended up being that we had our publicist for this movie was also a publicist for Huxley, which is an AI artist. Huxley just directed a music video for Duran Duran. If you have seen it, it's pretty fascinating. Just Google Huxley Duran Duran video. They directed this. What do you call AI? AI directed video for.
For AI?
Yeah, for Duran Duran. So the idea for doing NFTs kind of came up early. Luke started mentioning it early, and then Phil Hunt, who is one of our EPs, brought it up again, and then so we thought we'd maybe try to do something a little different with because there hasn't been a movie that has done anything with NFTs yet. So we thought, what if we did deleted scenes or like alternate artwork for like rejected poster concepts, things like that, as NFTs, and then we basically started to put those things together. And then I think we're the only movie, if I'm correct, we're the only movie that there's a Huxley original art piece that if you buy that, you actually get a real movie prop also. So there's a version where you get the sword that Kat uses if you buy a certain NFT, and I think that the tie-dye sweatshirt that Luke is wearing is part of one of the things.
Cool.
So it's kind of cool. But I'm not gonna pretend like I know a lot about NFTs. I think it's all pretty fascinating, but it's interesting.
What's the piece of art that you showed us the other day that they put the spell into?
Yes, the Huxley, the AI. So there's a spell that Kat reads out loud, which causes the whole thing to start. I didn't do it. They entered the spell into Huxley and basically instructed it to do artwork inspired by the spell, and it came up with some really interesting things, which are pretty fascinating. But
It's flippin' terrifying. I'll
Yeah.
tell you.
They're creepy.
it's interesting.
Real creepy.
Some of them are really interesting, but they're cool though. But they're weird.
Yeah.
And that there's 4 of those, I think, and then there's it's pretty crazy. Some of the deleted scenes that are NFTs, I think there's some alt lines because a lot of these actors did a lot of amazing improv, and sometimes I just had to pick what I thought was the funniest while we're editing, but we had a bunch of other stuff that was great, so we'd still use those for NFTs. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting concept. So we'll see how it works.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Were you guys familiar with NFTs before taking on the roles?
No idea. I'm still
Hmm.
learning about them. I'm not
There's,
really sure.
I know as much as Nick just stated. And
I
in
know
fact,
only
if you were
about
going to
this
ask me
movie.
anything, I was going to defer to Nick. So
I'm probably
Nah,
not the
we
right
did.
person to ask.
Yeah, we did see some of the pieces, and they're really cool and quite frightening at the same time.
Okay.
That's fascinating. I mean, this movie is, we're jumping in and learning new things at every turn, at every juncture, and I think, being the first film or one of the first films to go into production during the pandemic, and then having this NFT thing, we're trying something new, and I think that's what, art is all about, is about innovating and challenging things and trying something new and seeing if it works.
Yeah,
I think that kind of goes back to your question about making independent films. It's just, you're just, like Kat said, trying new things. You're just trying to create something, and you're all in it together. So I feel like more than anything, this project has brought us all together in a very creative and positive way. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you had to do your own makeup, your own hair, your
That's what I'm
own,
talking about. See, you
your
get
own
it.
everything.
I mean, I think I'm a little bit of a self-tape monster now, because I have too much fun lighting things and I get too much of it. I had one the other day where, my character got really messed up in a fight, and then for that last scene I did
Oh
a bunch
man,
of
that's
sex
awesome.
makeup left over. I think I scared my agents a little bit, but all in a day's work.
I mean,
Did-
you're home. You might
Has
as
there been?
well.
Have you guys done any in-person auditions since this whole thing has started? Is it still?
No.
None.
So this movie has been a real benefit then for your.
Honestly, I need the lighting kit back, actually. I'm going to need Kevin to send it to me.
Why'd you send it back? You should have just kept it.
No,
Everybody
we're
else
on a
kept it.
budget.
You kept yours, right, Kat?
Indie film.
I did get to keep some of the stuff, yeah.
What? We're
You just
learning
had to
this
ask for
live
it,
on
man.
the air?
You just had to ask for it, man.
Well, no. Can I have your hat, too?
No, this is my hat.
I want to see your backpack, your Untitled Horror Movie backpack.
You can have the backpack if you want it. I have
I
a
don't
backpack.
take yours.
That's awesome. So what is your preferred genre, and do you have any favorite films and TV shows?
Oh goodness, how long do you have?
It's all good.
That's
I'm
a tricky question, I think, for any film person. I mean, anybody, like, what's your favorite? Like, I watch so much, I consume so much stuff. I mean, at all times. And by the way, it's impossible now to keep up with everything because there's just so much out there. I grew up as a horror and sci-fi like super nerd. I've also been like a huge Monty Python, and Kids in the Hall fan. So like comedy has always been my. I've always wanted to do a comedy, and so Untitled Horror Movie was really a fun experience that I never usually get. The thing I'm watching, I'm obsessed with Succession right now. I'm watching that. So good. I just watched all of Schitt's Creek and like during the pandemic, all 6 seasons in like 3 weeks or something. Also amazing. I watched The Boys, which is also fantastic. Like there's all these like movie wise. I just went to Old last night, the new night movie.
Is it good?
It was great. Look, it's fine. He's become a genre of himself.
I'm fine.
It was
I'm
good.
always entertained by his.
Yeah, his films are always solid, so it was fun. Yeah, it's been I have my spectrum is just all over the place, so I can't really hone in on one thing. Probably The Thing is my favorite movie of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. As far as TV shows, I have such eclectic taste. I go back and forth. I'm everything from Married at First Sight to Downton Abbey, and everything in between. I've kind of gone through everything this pandemic. But the 3 films I always go back to that I say kind of sum up what I love about film is Gilda from the 1940s with Rita Hayworth, Princess Bride, and Usual Suspects. Those are the 3 films I always go back to. It's like the gamut of my favorites. You can throw it in there too, because horror.
Yeah.
I mean, I love fantasy, sci-fi. I really don't, like Nick said, I mean, we're in the industry, so I love to watch every single genre. But most recently, I just watched Loki on Disney Plus. That was really good.
I watched Loki. I watched Loki also.
So good. And then Ted Lasso on Apple.
I haven't watched it. I heard it's great though. Yeah.
It's so, it surprises you. It surprises you, which is good. I think it's unlike anything I've ever seen, because going into it, you're just like, what is this? And I played soccer my whole life, so watching anything, or football, as they say, and watching anything that has football in it or soccer is just like a challenge for me. But this show does a really good job. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It really does. It's quite interesting. And you know, being a Kansas City girl myself, I'm so proud to see Sudeikis out there doing his thing.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing, and it surprises you because yes, it's a comedy, but it also has so many other human elements to it. And I think this year, you just need a show that makes you smile and makes you feel human again. And this show it gives you hope. And that
Everybody
show
should watch it.
Yeah.
Right. I'll watch it. I'll check it out. Another show that I forgot to bring up that was a huge influence on the writing of this movie that we don't really talk about often was Community, which is the Dan Harmon show. I'm a huge Community uber fan, and I've watched those episodes so many times over and then. But what that show does so well is they'll have entire episodes of just the five or six characters in one room just talking to each other, and it's hilarious. So that was a huge influence on this movie as far as how do we keep this entertaining, and how do we keep it moving without actually showing a lot of other things going on. So that's one of those things that we always forget to bring up. I'm like, I should give Community more credit for this movie.
That makes so much sense now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, have you watched it? Joel McHale, and
I love that
amazing.
show.
Yeah, Donald Glover. I mean, it's an amazing show. But
All those guys.
Awesome. What does the future hold for Untold Horror Movie?
The Academy Awards.
I'm sure. I'm assuming an Independent Spirit Award. If Independent Spirit Awards are actually Independent Spirit Awards, then absolutely we should be getting that, right? I mean, there's nothing more independent than this thing. I don't know. I mean, I think Luke and I have an idea for a sequel. I mean, it just depends on what happens with the movie. I mean, I have no idea. We've gotten really great reviews. We've gotten the audience seems to really love it. I've got randomly other people in the industry seem to love it. Luke and I got an email from John Logan last week, who wrote Gladiator and Skyfall and things like that. He praised the movie and how much he loved it, and he was like, "This is really." He's in an industry that oftentimes doesn't credit you for things. I give you some mindful praise and how much he loved the movie. It was really crazy, but it was I sat there and read that email what is happening? So I mean, yeah. So it's been a really, I mean, it's gotten a really great reception. So that's been really positive.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you guys obviously love working together. So a sequel could be on the cards.
I think we'll all work together at some point for sure, whether it be a sequel to this movie or something else. But yeah.
Can I just make a request though that next time it's in person, because we had way too much fun on Zoom, and I just think it would be even better if we were all actually in the same physical space.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. Luke and I are actually working on a new script right now, which is a sort of a scavenger hunt horror movie. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. We just started working it out.
Like it.
I'll start growing out my mustache.
We're gonna need a mustache for sure.
I was gonna grow a mustache next movie. Dang it!
Hurry up!
Hurry up!
I've been outcast by Kat and her mustache.
Awesome. Are there any other aspects of the entertainment industry that you'd like to pursue?
I mean, I think if there's anything, I'd been shadowing directors for the last couple of years and sort of looking at that path for a while, and getting to try my hand at some other aspects of cinematography through this film, it's only further solidified that for me. You know, I don't know when or that'll happen or any of that, but you know, it just feels though as a director you have so many more tools at your disposal with which you can tell the story and different ways you can make interesting statements and provide interesting perspectives outside of just the microcosm of playing a specific character. And I think I would have some interesting things to say. It's, you know, so it's something I definitely want to dip my toe into eventually.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Plus, you got the music side of things as well.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So that'd be cool to see you add more, have more songs in soundtracks.
Working on it.
Yeah. Cool. Where you guys?
You know, I do eventually one day. I think I would like to branch out a little bit, but right now I'm just kind of focusing on just honing in on my craft and saying yes to as many awesome projects and stories as possible, and you know, getting better here so I can be better down the road at something else. So I think right now I'm just focusing on the acting thing, but I have notes of just really amazing and also really shitty ideas for projects. So maybe one day one of those will come into fruition.
Oh man, I have so many of those too. I think you never stop learning, you know, with this in this industry especially. So I mean I've been, like I said, I've been lucky and blessed to be able to do this for a living as long as I have. I mean I've only been doing it professionally for like 10 years, but like to be able to keep getting hired for things is always the thing. So like I just want to kind of stay focused on that. I will say though, I can see like, you know, some of the best actors, directors I know were actors before. So like you guys should definitely all consider it, because I think that's the hardest part of any director's job is just to communicate with actors. I ended up, I mean, I remember when when I was at AFI, we ended up taking many acting classes. I took, studied Strasbourg or Meisner and Gronlings came in. We had a whole year of Gronlings improv, and there's things like that just to understand the process. So I think the hardest part of directing is just being able to communicate what your ideas are to actors, and also giving them the freedom to do what they're going to do, and then figure out how you compromise and get that into, both. So I think you guys should absolutely direct. Do it. Placing camera, things like that, that's all stuff you can learn, like that's all, everything else, but like being able to actors, or, and I'm sure you guys have worked with directors who don't talk to actors a lot, because it's definitely an art, to figure that out.
Don't leave me in the dark. I'm scared.
Well, it's just a trust issue, right? I mean, we have to trust each other to go into it.
It's that silence after cut is called that's the most deafening silence.
Well, especially if you always give, if you're doing another take, like, well, why?
Right, you didn't get it.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
How'd that feel to you? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? So I always tell actors at the beginning, like, if I don't give you any notes and I do another take, it's nothing to do with you. It's usually a camera or something else, because I've been in situations where we're shooting and focus is soft, or, like there's a million things that could go wrong,
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any projects that you're waiting to get back to?
It's been the year of things being put on hold. It's been the year of things going, oh yeah, we're gonna shoot this next month or next week, or oh, we'll be on set on Monday, and then you get that phone call where they go, yeah, actually no, we're gonna wait, or we've got pushed, or this happened, or it's that's why this project was so exciting, and to actually see something happen and follow through and come to fruition this year. It's so gratifying because so many things have gotten pushed or fallen through or dissipated or anything, and this group has a lot of tenacity and really made it happen.
That's awesome.
We thought, I mean, probably because we thought that, when we were writing it, and then when we were starting to get ready to shoot it, we all assumed that at this point, and we were the first film to be approved from SAG to go into production last May. So when this thing was, when we were gearing up for it, I thought the pandemic was going to be over by like July last year. I mean, we thought it was going to be done and everybody be back to normal by like mid. So like we thought we wanted to hurry and make sure we could do it before everybody went back to work. And before everybody went back, we had no idea we're about to go into a full year of lockdown, you know. But it was fascinating that we pulled it together so quickly. Cause I mean, from the idea, you know, Luke and I talked about the idea of doing this movie in mid-April. And by end of May we were shooting. So I mean, everything just happened so quickly, and it was just I remember like the day before we started shooting this thing, I remember just like not sleeping, going like, how did this happen? Like, how do we get here? Like 6 weeks ago, this wasn't even an idea, you know. So it's pretty fascinating.
Awesome. So who inspires you in the industry?
Nick Simon.
Nick Simon. That's not same thing.
I mean, there's so many people that, you know, especially this past year, it's been amazing to see what everyone's done. And you know, there's been so many creatives in the world that have found something to do or done something innovative or created something or developed something, or, you know, in the last several years, we've seen so much of that as you know, with streamers coming up and with all these new technologies, we've seen a lot of the rules be broken, and this whole industry is becoming a bit of the Wild West again, and it makes it a lot of fun and easier to dream for developing your own things, because you realize that, you know, the rules are being broken and kind of anything is possible if you really stick to it.
Absolutely. You guys?
I honestly, all the writers in this, I've been very fortunate to have worked with some amazing writers in this industry. Obviously Nick and Luke, who's, you know, a peer of ours, and now he's this great writer. And you know, on my last show I worked on, the showrunner Brian Yorkie, who's just this insanely brilliant writer. It's just like to be able to tell these stories, you know, that's like, we're so fortunate to be a part of those stories. So just all the writers in the industry, you guys are amazing. Keep writing roles for us, please.
Concur. I concur.
Awesome. So do you have a wish list of who you'd like to work with?
Yes, and it's very
same with me, I'm sure.
I don't know. I think the thing for me is like, this was such a treat. I you know, just getting to work with people that are collaborative and really down to just play and find interesting moments. And you know, I love projects that challenge me. And you read a script or get into a situation, you kind of go, I really don't know if I can pull that off, because, you know, at the end of the day, you learn and you grow and you rise to the challenge, and that's how you get better. Is you push yourself beyond what you think is possible.
I mean, yeah, there are a bunch, obviously, but I really want to work with Taylor Sheridan, who did Wind River and Hell or High Water.
Oh, yeah.
I just love all of his stuff. So,
he's great. He's great.
God, Wind River was so.
Or Matt Damon.
I mean, yeah.
I love Matt Damon.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are the only two I want to work with.
Just Taylor and Matt. That's it.
Taylor, and so if you guys could whip something up real quick, and
let me see if I can get Taylor and Matt in the hole and on the horn. And
Matt Damon, it's so interesting. I listened to a podcast with Matt Damon the other day, and I love the fact that he just loves what he does, and he loves to play. Like, if you watch, I was watching Thor Ragnarok the other day, and I totally didn't even realize that he's in it, uncredited, and he's in so many things.
Oh yeah.
Play on set, and you know, I want to get to that level where I can just call up, you know, Marvel and be like, hey, can I come be a credited character for a day?
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Matt Damon's done that a couple of times. I think it was also in Guardians of the Galaxy, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Oh man.
And he's doing some great writing work with Ben Affleck at the moment.
Yeah.
Always.
Nick, what about you?
For people I want to work with, I mean,
Yeah.
I think I hit it all with you guys in this last movie. I mean, that was all the people I wanted to, like, my top list of people to work with. You guys all said yes, and I'm kind of capped. Actor wise, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I would always want to. I've always wanted to work with Donald Glover. I think he's fascinating. He's amazing. He's so multi-talented in so many different ways. You know, I've been a huge fan for a long time. And then I don't know. Like as far as like writers or director, I mean, I've just been, I've worked with Wes Craven and those guys that was such a huge influence of me growing up. So like, I feel like I've met some of those, great people and have worked with a lot of really great people. I've just been, again, really lucky. As far as like actors, I mean, there's so many. I have a list of people every time we go out. There's like, I'd love to work with this person, love to work with this person. I don't know. I would love to tell you what I would love to do. Not necessarily work with people. I would love to like direct an episode of Star Trek. Like, 'cause I'm a huge Star Trek nerd. Like things like that. I have like different, like, that's the kind of things I would love to do. Like do some sort of like, like those are my bucket list things. Working on Picard, working with Patrick Stewart would be amazing. Or Brent Spiner, or one of those guys. From those shows. That would be fantastic.
That's awesome. All right, cool. With the popularity of streaming services like Netflix, and they've obviously been the lifeblood for us over the last year and a half, what do you think the future of cinema is?
Hopefully back in theaters. I mean, now that I think theaters are open in the UK, right? Cinema's back open. Yeah. So like it's we started going back to the movie. I think my first film back into theaters was A Quiet Place Part 2. I've gone pretty much every week since then. I try to go and support the theater. I mean, theatrical experience for me is that's my church, so I think I would love to see that going back into becoming like the standard, and then bringing everything back, because it's just something magical about that place, and seeing that screen and seeing that being in a communal experience. And as far as like Netflix and Hulu, I mean, all the different, there's so many different options right now. Like the fact that we all just named off a bunch of shows and none of them have crossed. I mean, we all said completely different things, and they're all on completely different networks or apps or Netflix. It's just, there's so much content. I think it's really hard to stand out. That's why I feel like the theatrical experience is still going to be the Godzilla or the King Kong of all of it, and hopefully that doesn't change. I really feel like that's I mean, I'm just a huge cinema nerd, so
Well, I think so too, but also, yes, as nice as it is and as convenient as it is for all of us to be at home on our own couch and with our own snacks and, watching whatever we want to and having it all at our fingertips. I mean, yes, it's amazing because it provides so much more opportunity for content to get out there, and as content creators, that's exciting because that's more opportunities for us to tell stories and more platforms on which we can do so, which is incredible. But also, we all appreciate more and more opportunities to go out to dinner with our friends and to go travel and visit people. And I think going to the movies is another one of those things. It's becoming the grand event that it was when movie theaters were first invented. It's special. And I don't think that'll ever cease to be, but maybe that's because we're all film nerds. I don't know.
Yeah. Jim?
I totally I agree with both of them. I think that there is a challenge getting the younger generations to go see films. They view shorter format stuff. Maybe, I don't know, attention span for the experience of a film is less appealing. But I think I really hope that it sticks around and we find new ways to encourage people to get back into going out to movie theaters. And I know like Quentin Tarantino just bought the Vista, and he's going to do all film stuff there, which the Vista was sadly almost, like it being such a landmark in LA and such a cinema experience, to think that it was on the brink of going away is just crazy to me, especially in a city like LA. So I hope that with a conjoined effort and I don't know, maybe new marketing attempt, like we can just get more people in the theaters, because some stuff's just made to be watched on a giant screen blaring in your face, you know?
The Vista is such a cool theater, and I'm so glad at Tarantino about that. It's gonna be so. I mean, that's where the Tenacious D handprints are, man. Come on.
So cool.
I think their butt prints are in there too, but I'm not kidding. Like they are.
So, what are you hoping the audience will take away from Untitled Horror Movie when they see it?
That you don't need a massive budget, and you know, this studio to back you. You can do it with friends, and I think like a common, just positive, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but just like a team effort, you can make something. Going back to the indie filmmaking, you know, if you just get the right group and have the right idea, you can really just do anything. Go to space.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest success of Untitled Horror Movie is the fact that, you know, we all had the same mindset and we all just dove in and trusted each other and figured it out as we went along and found something really special. I think more special than any of us thought initially. But just a sense of fun. You know, we didn't mention the pandemic at all in the film. We didn't feel the need to include it, even though it's kind of there in its own way. But the movies are an escape. The movies are a way to get out of this world that we're living in for 90 minutes. And if people can dive into this film and laugh and cry and be a little scared and jump a few times and enjoy themselves, that's our main goal. And, you know, as much fun as we had making it, if people can just have a piece of that fun watching it, I think we can call it a success.
Yeah, I think that's no, you really hit the head there. I mean, really just letting people forget about things and having a good time for 80, 90 minutes and being able to forget about, especially when we, again, at the time we shot this, we never mentioned pandemic, we never mentioned COVID, we never mentioned any of those things because we didn't want to date it, but we also kind of in a weird way, and I think this is subconscious on our part, it's sort of future proofed. It's a little bit of a futurist film in the sense where people use Zoom every day now, and we're getting out of the pandemic. We're still going to be using Zoom every day from now. And so like, I don't feel like it's going to be I don't think it's going to be dated as a time period of this. I feel like all of my meetings for the last, I think in the future, I mean, the next 2 years are probably going to be on Zoom. I just feel like it's just now a way of us doing interviews, having meetings, doing rehearsal, like, meeting people. So I feel like we, just having, again, a positive vibe and touching what Tim said too, is just letting people know that anybody can go out and do anything, just, paint in whatever canvas you can,
Yeah. Awesome. So where can we find you online to keep up with everything you're doing?
I'm on Twitter, I guess. I mean, no, like Twitter and Instagram. Like, this is better for you guys. Like, I'm on those things, but I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. My wife has to help me. She'll like take over and do. She's better at that than I am. No.
I think I tagged you in a photo recently, so you can find Nick through my Instagram. Granaderos. He's tagged in one of my most recent photos as the cat.
Yeah, same. You can find Nick and Tim and the rest of the cast at cat.mcnamara on Instagram, cat_McNamara on Twitter.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been wonderful, guys. Thank you so much for taking time to speak to me today. And yeah, congratulations with the film, and I look forward to what you do next.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, guys.
See you later.
See ya.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for more content next time.
So epic! Thank you, thank you!
It is. It is indeed epic.
And you did that.
I know. I did that.
I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, with the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels. It's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you round Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.